Hello world! Hello to Turkey! At a time when, according to the statistics of the United Nations Developmental Programme, 27% of the people of this country are not benefiting from the high economic growth and are under the poverty line, and 78% of them live in slums bordering major cities, the White Palace of President Erdogan has cost approximately $615 million, and his private jet, an Airbus A330-200, has cost approximately $185 million. And according to Erdogan, the construction of this palace is something that Turkey should be proud of. Leaving this aside, let's look at the aid of Turkey in supplying military equipment, training militants, buying oil, recruiting members, treating the wounded, transporting, and giving whatever humanitarian aid that they can to ISIL. If it is possible to use the term humanitarian for them, that is. It has made Turkey a publicly hated country, though made them very, very close friends to some.
President Erdogan is one of the key leaders of our alliance, and Turkey obviously serves an extraordinarily important role in the alliance, in part because it is a bridge between Europe and the Middle East.
And in the excellently put words of Commentary magazine, Erdogan has already transformed Turkey from an aspiring democracy into the world's largest prison for journalists, a graveyard for women, and an incubator for terrorism. And now whispers are being heard from the government of making a change in the constitution regarding the type and duration of the government. Of course, all these things happening within Turkey have nothing to do with Syria, Iraq, and the ISIL. Hello to the Middle East, where Saudi Arabia is first in terms of oil exports and second in terms of oil production in the world. A country where women suffer from being denied many human rights. They aren't even allowed to drive or vote. Due to the extreme pressure on women, their suicide rates are high. Most women do not have an identification card, and their identity is confirmed by their husbands or fathers. In this country, there are no cinemas. Photography is illegal in most public areas. Till now, millions of religious texts of minority faiths have been confiscated and burnt. A place where the people and the media have no freedom of speech and must only advertise the government's policies. A country where 7,000 members of the Imperial Saud family rule over the whole nation and its 25 million citizens. In addition to being in control of all the sensitive issues related to the country, the Saud family have in their hands all the wealth generated from the sales of oil and gas. All this happens while there is no sort of elections or power to the people. Funny, in an era where we have democracy and human rights in most countries, the United States has not attacked this lovable country with the excuse of weapons of mass destruction, human rights, and other things to establish democracy. Till now, the US has not made any sort of complaint against this imperial dictatorship, and the reasons for this are very clear. hello to Nicaragua, the largest country in Central America. A short while ago, in this country, which doesn't have much of a population mind you, some of the diplomats in a meeting condemned Israel for its assault on Gaza and condemned the United States for its unfair sanctions against Cuba, and announced their support for the Latin American nations, as well as all the other nations which are after gaining independence and freedom, acknowledging their rights to self-determination.
You got any big plans for the 4th of July this year when we celebrate our independence from Mexico? Are you going to be doing anything to sort of reflect on that independence, the breakaway from them?
Yeah, American style. Party.
Getting drunk and smoking some weed.
Yeah, man. Sacrament, one love.
How nice would it be if all the other countries, whether large or little, would learn about basic human rights from these beautiful people? And somebody please tell Israel that you guys are mostly into killing and invading. Why the need for bribery between authorities? Although the bribery was between the officials involved in weapons trading. Why there, you ask? Because this area has very high revenue, as the Israeli politicians are mostly involved in the same field, using weapons for attack. But now, it's time to check out the best of the world. The warning to the world. A warning regarding 9/11 and even day number 11 in general. A warning to the inhabitants of the Freedom Tower. Please make sure you follow this warning or you may have the same fate as the inhabitants of the previous Trade Center. Whoever wants to stay within this tower must have undertook parachuting lessons, because in the case that any probable object collides with the tower or surrounding towers, you must parachute out of the window before the collapse of the building or the arrival of aid. This is because earthquake data from the University of Columbia show that your tower collapses in approximately 8 seconds, and the surrounding towers in 10. Yes, do not be surprised. This is even if the object collides with the top of the tower. And if you do not follow these basic safety warnings, then we are forced to again the strongest man of the world. I mean, the most powerful man of the world, where according to Forbes magazine, for the 2nd year running, is none other than Vladimir Putin! The vacant-minded of the world. The United Nations Secretary General, who, each time with one issue, shows us his crucial work, acting responsibly in front of the whole world, by once dancing Gangnam Style, and now accepting homosexuality by taking photos with this guy, who tweaked himself from this to this. Surely Bunky has thought about the consequences of his actions, and there's no need for us to remind him that if homosexuality spreads, then the most confident suicide of the world. The assisted suicide of 29-year-old Brittany Maynard in one of the 5 states where it is now legal. May God bless her soul. But imagine if she used her high confidence levels and fighting spirit for fighting her disease and promoting life rather than death. The secession of the world.
America, the birthplace of AIDS.
Douglas MacKinnon, one of the former White House and Pentagon officials who worked at least 3 years in the Joint Command of the Pentagon, has said that according to Reuters polls, 1 in 4 Americans are ready to join a secession movement. This translates to approximately 84 million people, meaning that the secession of America is the only solution and that the South should make what he calls a Reagan state. But why? Isn't America the land of dreams, where there are no problems and there is perfect peace? And isn't this why America goes out of its way to help other countries? The gone out of the control of the world. After obtaining the allegiance of Al-Qaeda, the ISIL has declared war against its godfather, Saudi Arabia.
Hey, we've got a problem here. Houston, we have a problem.
In addition to designing a plot to assassinate Queen Elizabeth due to Britain's airstrikes against them.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.